Good morning. Rise in freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show on the For Liberty Network. Today is Thursday, the 21st of November. Remember. No, that's the 5th of November. Good morning, Joni Rankin. Sign of Jonah. Everybody say thank you to Nelson65 who helped me set up today. Domo arigatou gozaimasu. And say hello to Brad Beckman. Got up nice and early, joining us here live in the chat this morning. He's the newest member of the team. We're hoping he'll become a more permanent fixture. He's been helping us out with the For Liberty shop. And I saw our friend Kermode Bear, you sneaky little fuzzy wuzzy bear, went over this morning and bought himself a couple, 3 boxes of the new holiday coffee this morning. Kermode, you're just trying to unlock my bonus content, aren't you? Makes me feel good. It's a beautiful day. Not in Jefferson City. It's kind of blustery and nasty and kind of gross. Hey, we got a lot to talk about today. There's so many reasons to be happy. I've just got story after story and guest after guest. First of all, it's Thirsty Thursday. You guys feeling a little spicy today? You want to have some... Ooh, sexy ladies. Yes, we've got doctor, pediatrician, mom, gardener, freedom fighter, patriot friend, Dr. Marion Mass on the show today. She lives in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. Dr. Marion Mass lives in the heart of it all, where Democrat election fraudsters tried to steal the election for the Democratic senator of Pennsylvania, Bob Casey. They're not letting it happen. Scott Presler, from the RNC, good dude, went out there and read the Democrats the Riot Act after they said the Democrat election fraudsters said that they were breaking the law. Scott Presler gets up and says, "You shall not pass." But instead of "you shall not pass," he says, I'm coming for your jobs. Go get them, Scott. We're going to talk to Marion Mass. She lives there. Doctor, lawyer, Indian chief. We're going to hear from Dr. Marion Mass at 7:30 a.m. Central Time today to talk about her and her merry little band of patriots fighting to protect election integrity in Pennsylvania. Oh, and guess what? She might, if things go well for me, then she might have her own show on forlibertynetwork.com. Another new show on the For Liberty Network. Hey guys, it's Thursday, which means that at forlibertynetwork.com, we have got 2 shows happening tonight. 3 shows today. My show, and then tonight at 7 p.m. Central Time, Daniela Pensack will be on from 7 to 9 p.m. Central Time. And then, oh my God, guys, did you see the news? 9 p.m. to 11 is when the Liberty Tonight boys take over. Brian Piotr, and he really is the king of all libertarians. After King Libertarian got a repost from Elon freaking Musk yesterday, the DOGE father. That's right, our own King Libertarian, the benevolent monarch of libertarianism, and one of the co-hosts of Liberty Tonight, got the sweet Elon Musk love last night. And the funny thing is he didn't even know that it happened. I had to be the guy messaging him, dropping him the message in our Slack channel. I'm like, yo, you got the Elon Musk. Congratulations, you got the Elon Musk. And I'm tweeting at him. I'm like, where are you at? Because he didn't say anything for a while. And he's like, oh my God, I had no idea. I was kind of like, bro, wake up. Our great leader has deigned to touch thee with his golden rod. So check out, I'm sure that they're going to be really excited. The boys are going to be excited tonight. So today's just going to be a great day from beginning to end. It's going to be fantastic. We're going to have lots of amazing guests. Daniela's on the show, speaking of Thirsty Thursday. She'll be on at 8:30 a.m. Central Time. And of course, I know people just flip out over Camellia. They think she's so pretty. Oh, Camellia. She'll be on at 8 a.m. Central Time to talk about how do you turn a conservative woman into a liberal? Well, I think Camellia is going to be able to share with us one weird trick to turn a conservative woman liberal. And Camellia will join us this morning. It's about the Nancy Mace trans bathroom stuff like that at 8 a.m. Central Time. Do you think we're going to make Camellia blush? Are we going to make Camellia blush? I think we are. Yes. From now on, it's going to make Camellia blush. Camellia will blush.
It's going to be America first, okay? America first.
America first, Camellia first. Today we have got Dr. Marion Mass, Camellia, Daniela Pensek. Oh my God, it's Thirsty Thursday. Hey, that was the wrong button. I'm sure you guys are sick of getting the applause button. Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, the DOGE plan to reform government. Following the Supreme Court's guidance, writes Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy in the Wall Street Journal, they will reverse a decades-long executive power grab. Elon and Vivek write, our nation was founded on the basic idea that the people we elect run the government. That isn't how America functions today. Most legal edicts aren't laws enacted by Congress, but, quote, rules and regulations promulgated by unelected bureaucrats, tens of thousands of them each year. Most government enforcement decisions and discretionary expenditures aren't made by the democratically elected president or even his political appointees, but by millions of unelected, unappointed civil servants within government agencies who view themselves as immune from firing thanks to civil service protections. This sounds like a AP for LP 2016 Austin Peterson for president campaign speech. This sounds like the kind of thing I was saying back then. I just feel like, if I hadn't run for president, this would never be happening. No, I'm just kidding. I love this too. I'm going to continue on the Elon and Vivek article here in just a moment, but I think it does bear mentioning that apparently Representative Aaron Bean, who is a Republican from Florida, has launched a new congressional caucus aimed at working hand in hand with President-elect Trump's soon-to-be Department of Government efficiency. So this is exciting. Bean posted a letter overnight on Tuesday asking other lawmakers to join him. He says, taking on Crazy Town is no easy task. And thus far, Representatives Jeff Van Drew of New Jersey and Ralph Norman of South Carolina have joined the caucus. Representative Pete Sessions of Texas also filed to join as a caucus co-chair. They said Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy will need partners in Congress to accomplish many of the cuts necessary to rein in the unelected bureaucrats who have had unchecked power for too long. Oh my God, it's just so pretty. So beautiful. So beautiful. It's so exciting. I don't know how to report this news other than it seems just like every day. Like it's also sucking a little bit of the life out of me because I don't know. I'm so tired. I'm so tired, guys. It's too early. Drink your founding flavors, guys. Take a sip of your coffee with me here. I'm drinking Martha's Mint. It's just so delicious. Hold on. Oh, yes. Now, Kimosabi, have strong coffee, feel good. Ah, yes. Thank you to our friend Kermode Bear. He went and bought a few boxes of coffee. We're only like $3 away from unlocking the bonus content today. Kermode, we love you. Bubby baby. Bubby baby. Yes, we are like $3 away from unlocking the bonus content. So you get to see that today. We have upgraded the bonus content, which means it's more expansive. So if you are Hispandex, then head over to our shop and buy something nice from the shop. Get yourself a box of Founding Flavors or our Doge merchandise flying out the doors. You want to get it in time for Christmas. I can't wait until I get my Doge field agent jacket so I can look like a Fed while being an anti-Fed. It says Department of Government Efficiency on it, Doge field agent on the back, but it looks like an FBI jacket. So people be like, what is that? Oh man, everybody's going to want it if you're wearing it around town. You can get it for yourself, but if you really, really love somebody in your life, buy two. One for you, one for me. And then one for your friends, and I guess that makes three. Okay, do it. ForLibertyShop.com. Elon Musk says that the way that our government works is undemocratic, how ironic, and antithetical to the founder's vision. It imposes massive direct and indirect costs on taxpayers. Thankfully, we have a historic opportunity to solve the problem, they write. And here are the basis for the changes that Elon Musk and Vivek are proposing here. The North Star, they write, for reform will be the U.S. Constitution, with a focus on two critical Supreme Court rulings issued during President Biden's tenure. In West Virginia versus Environmental Protection Agency in 2022, God bless the conservative Supreme Court, the justices held that agencies can't impose regulations dealing with major economic policy questions unless Congress specifically authorizes them to do so. Important, very interesting. Next one is this. In Loper Bright versus Raimondo, the court overturned the Chevron doctrine and held that federal courts should no longer defer to federal agencies' interpretations of the law or their own rulemaking authority. Together, these cases suggest that a plethora of current federal regulations exceed the authority Congress has granted under law. Oh, man. Supreme Court, man. It was so important. Thank you, Nelson65. We have now unlocked the bonus content. So when we go get our friend Dr. Marion Mass here in just a few minutes, we'll be able to watch the bonus content. Thank you to Nelson65 and Kermode Bear. Please don't let that stop you from, blessing you with something.
Can you bless me with something?
Oh gosh.
Money-wise. Please.
Can you suck it?
What?
This is kind of becoming like a Howard Stern morning show. Yeah, you got to really kind of have a little stomach for it. So it is more PG-13, I guess. Still, we're just so happy. We're just so excited. We love America. We love freedom. We love our country. And gosh darn it, I think you all like me. We like the Wake Up America show, damn it. Oh, baby. Do you know what you're worth? The Wake Up America show. It's heaven on earth. DOGE will work with legal experts embedded in government agencies aided by advanced technology, AI, to apply these rulings to federal regulations enacted by such agencies. DOGE will present this list of regulations to President Trump, who can, by executive action, immediately pause the enforcement of those regulations and initiate the process for review and enforcement of those regulations. When the president nullifies thousands of such regulations, critics will allege executive overreach. In fact, it will be correcting the executive overreach of thousands of regulations promulgated by administrative fiat that were never authorized by Congress. The president owes lawmaking deference to Congress, not to bureaucrats deep within federal agencies. God, this is like libertarian porn. You know what I mean? I'm reading this in the morning. It's just like, and the Democrats will be like,
do not come. Do not come.
I'm going to come.
You guys want to watch a little bit more of some stuff that gets you excited? The Democrats are eating each other alive. Oh, yes. I love it. I love it. We're having a beautiful morning today. We've got lots to be happy about. Comcast, which owns MSNBC, might actually be selling the television stations. They're tired of dealing with that toxic crap. Bill O'Reilly commented on it last night. Take a listen.
Comcast said, you two, we're going to have to try to mend some cliche fences.
So Bill O'Reilly's talking about Morning Joe. Apparently, he's alleging that Joe and Mika went to Mar-a-Lago not just so that they could kiss the ring and beg for access to the White House during the next 4 years, but apparently there was some pressure, just like that Sunny Hostin hostage video that we watched yesterday, where she had to go read that news. I think I might have that clip still, where she was like, Matt Gaetz, the legal notice from Matt Gaetz. Look at all these clips, guys. I got a billion clips. I don't think I'll be able to get to all of them today. But anyways, it was a great video if you missed it.
And you two are going to go in there and you're going to try to tamp it down, because Comcast knew the next day they were going to announce that MSNBC is vapor. That is a huge meteor story.
Why is
Enormous.
it vapor? Just because they're spinning it off and putting them in they're spinning off a bunch of brands.
There's no spin-off.
There is. It's a spin-off company.
There's no spin-off. See, you buy the propaganda, Cuomo.
Oh, okay.
See what I mean about
I'm just saying what's being reported.
All right.
But what do you know?
Yeah, I know, but why would you believe what's being reported? You want the real story? Here
Yes,
it comes.
please.
Get him, Bill. Get him, Bill. Thank you, John Rail, for becoming a monthly supporter. John, don't forget, if you want to buy Christmas presents at the shop, you get that 20% discount. If you guys are monthly supporters on Rumble or at my website or anywhere else, anywhere that you are a monthly supporter to me, you get a 20% discount at the shop. So if you don't know your code, make sure you send me a text, 573-319-1586, and let me know that you don't know your code, and I will send it to you. Again, 573-319-1586. All right, here's Bill O'Reilly with the poop.
So they're uncoupling their word, Comcast, MSNBC from NBC News. That means MSNBC has no resources at all. None. They're not going to be able to pay these people millions of dollars, Rachel Maddow, whatever she's making. NBC News is saying, we don't want you around. Why? Because NBC News' numbers, Lester Holt and the Today Show, are catastrophe because half the country equates NBC News with MSNBC and they won't watch.
Yeah.
So NBC is desperately trying to save the mothership of information, and they have to throw MSNBC overboard. They're not putting anything into MSNBC. They want to sell it. So where's Georgie Soros now? Georgie's buying radio stations. You can get MSNBC for nothing. They'll give it to you. They don't want any more of this. Why? Because it's hateful. Not because it's so far left. The whole NBC Comcast hierarchy is far left. But it's hateful. They hate Trump. They hate people who vote for Trump. Everybody knows that. And you know what's next? The View. ABC News is going to have to cut ties with The View. And you saw that today or yesterday when Sonny Hostin had to read a legal statement in the middle of a segment.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Thank you, Kilsharian. By the way, we do have a windbreaker. You were asking about that. Aaron Bean is the lawmaker, FYI. I know you guys were curious. Some people have been asking some questions about what's in the shop. People are like, do you have a patch? Yes, we do. How do you find all of the Doge merch? I need to put a button on this so you'll know. Just click on the Doge Shiba Inu over here. When you click on him right there, he'll pop up all of our Doge merch. But this is just for you, Kilsharian. Here is the most premium. This is what I ordered. And you're talking about a shell or jacket. This is the Doge Field Agent Jacket. Waterproofed jacket. Nice, soft, cozy, comfy liner. And you can only get the Doge jackets. Look at that. It looks like a Fed. Like you show up, you look like a Fed. That's going to be hilarious. Doge Field Agent. People are like, oh my God, yeah. You can only get it at forlibertyshop.com. Again, head to forlibertyshop.com. This one's called the Doge Field Agent Jacket. And then somebody was asking, do we have a patch? Oh, do we have a patch? Oh my gosh, do we have a patch? I wonder if we have a patch. For some reason, it looks like the patch isn't like showing in the, where is the patch? It should be in here. We've got coasters. Hold on, let me type in patch. Maybe this is why people couldn't find the patch. Patch. What the hell? I know I created a patch. I know I did. I type in Doge. I look for it. I feel really embarrassed right now. I'm doing this live on air. I probably need to go to a commercial break. Here's what I do. I'm going to go to a commercial break. I'll find the patch. It's in there. I'm going to get Marion Mass. Dr. Marion Mass. She lives in Bucks County, PA. They're trying to steal the election. Go to our shop during the commercial break. Enjoy the bonus content. We'll be right back on the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network. Today's bonus content. Your support helps our...
Good morning. Bucks County has been in the news a lot this year. Earlier, we flipped Bucks County from blue to red, and for the first time in modern history, there are more registered Republicans than Democrats here in this county. Number 2, voters were disenfranchised in this county, and in fact, I want to thank Chairman Michael Whatley of the RNC and co-chair Laura Trump pay attention to it. Well, Commissioner, the court already ruled that undated and misdated mail-in ballots could not be counted. You knew that going into the meeting. And I want to congratulate the people of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. This speech I'm doing right now is going to be seen by millions across the country, the Commonwealth, and the world. And I have a message. Congratulations to President-elect Donald J. Trump, the 45th and 47th President of the United States of America.
Yeah, good morning. Rise in freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network. Pennsylvania, a key state which went for Donald Trump, and sends one more Republican senator to Washington, D.C. But that almost didn't happen, and they're still trying to make it not happen. Bucks County, Pennsylvania is the heart of the problem, and a beautiful young lady who lives out there is a friend of mine. She is a doctor, a pediatrician. She is a mom. She is a gardener, and she is a warrior for liberty. Her name is Dr. Marion Mass, and she's joining us live on the line right now. Good morning, Dr. Mass. Nice to see you again.
Good morning. I think I'm now more awake than ever when you said I was a young lady. Okay.
We call it Thursdays. We call it Thirsty Thursday, and you just happened to come on. We always have the lovely Ladies of Liberty on Thursday, so it's perfect that you're here, Dr. Mass. An inspiring speech by Scott Presler. Boy, the shenanigans coming out of the county where you live have been egregious. Fill us in on what's been going on and the latest.
Okay. Well, I think everyone is aware that Commissioner Diane Marseglia last week at the commissioners meeting spoke the words, people violate laws anytime they want. So for me, if I violate the law, it's because I want a court to pay attention. I mean, I was kind of like laughing when I was reading that. It kind of felt like my toddler children saying, pay attention to me. I don't get that. But, so she looked like she was going to try to defy the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania and count ballots that had been deemed not countable. And I think that's at an end. In fact, friends have taken screenshots and proved that she, in fact, was counting them, and the vote tallies changed. I don't think it would have mattered with a senatorial election, but what matters to us here in Bucks County, in a county that I grew up in a county that I raised 3 children in, is there has been a pattern of abuse going back years. And before the commissioners meeting happened, a good friend of mine, Jamie Walker, set up a press conference. She parked a microphone right in front of the courthouse, and a group of us got together in my kitchen. It felt like the sons and daughters of liberty, and we planned that press conference. I mean, honestly, I was so proud. I mean, think of where we live. This is the cradle of liberty. Washington left here and crossed the Delaware before he had his big victory. The Liberty Bell traveled through here for safekeeping up north, right through Bucks County. It stopped and slept in Quakertown, Pennsylvania, if anyone's listening from there. But, we are the cradle of liberty. And I think back to those revolutionary days, and we sat here at the kitchen table and prepared that press conference. Jamie spoke of what had happened to her and her experience. You have to understand, Jamie was asking questions during the pandemic. Why are you shutting down the schools? Why all of a sudden is our Department of Health Director, David Damsker, it looked as though he had given us great COVID guidance in the fall of 2021, and then all of a sudden he was silenced. And Jamie and another friend of mine, actually a former pediatric ICU nurse, Megan Brock, they started asking questions. Well, at that press conference yesterday, and I hope people go back and look at those tapes, because Jamie revealed how when she started asking questions, she was told by a head of security at the courthouse, she was told not to come back to meetings. In other words, don't come back and ask any more questions. And then Meg Brock blocked from calling every government office in Bucks County for 18 months. And then when this was discovered by Meg, and this includes 911, by the way, if she had an emergency, she was at risk. So this is another mom. I mean, here's these 2 soccer moms asking questions. Everyone's trying to shut them up. And this goes back to 2021. This is not what Diane
we spent 4 years, 2020 to 2024, Dr. Mass, where we were told we were crazy if we thought there was any kind of shenanigans going on. We got blocked, censored, suppressed, laughed at, jeered. Some people even spent time in jail because of January 6th because they thought that these kinds of shenanigans are going on. Now it's out here in the open for everybody to see. I mean, you must feel a strong sense of vindication.
I'm not a retributive person. I believe in justice. I don't believe in making someone suffer. I mean, that's just me, okay? The law
You are a
needs
doctor.
to deal.
Do no harm.
Yes, I mean, the law needs to deal with Diane Marseglia. But I think for me, the fact that Jamie Walker yesterday was brave enough to stand in front of the courthouse. And it was the second time because I went to her press conference 2 years ago. Jamie and Meg, those two women, they put in right to know requests. And, Megan had been defamed by Marseglia, who claimed that Megan had called the county office repeatedly and verbally abused people. Megan right to know the phone records proved that she called once and played the tape at a commissioner's meeting, and she wasn't verbally abusive. But Diane never apologized. The press never retracted. I mean, so someone just like leaves this, this former nurse, this soccer mom out to dry. But these two women had a press conference, I believe it was 2 years ago, that I went to, and they right to know requested records to try to figure out, wait a second, why did you even keep the schools, partially shut down? In 2021, that Department of Health Director, David Damsker, came along and said, it's time to make COVID like the flu. I mean, that's functionally what he said. You don't need to test, et cetera, et cetera. Well, everyone went crazy. I mean, there was a big school board meeting. There was a press conference outside of there and protests. And they got bonked on the head by an elected official at that. It's wild. No one did anything. I think that elected official is still in office. People have been getting away with crap in Bucks County for a long time. So when Jamie and Meg right to knowed what was going on, Diane Marseglia came back and sued them to prevent them from getting emails that by law they had the right to receive. And what's really wild is there's still emails missing. So she's still continuing, I believe, to sue Jamie to prevent Jamie from getting emails that she has a right to by law. And Jamie and Meg got one email, and the contents of that, I'll just give you a little quote. Diane Marseglia at one point said, I have people to protect. Well, who is she protecting? What's in those emails? With the eyes of the nation upon us, I kind of want to know, because it seemed as though Marseglia had a direct line to the governor's office back then, and from the Department of Health back then. And something was really going on to suppress some really good COVID guidance that in the end has been, over time, has stood the test of time. The really good guidance that by and large, people could choose to keep their children home. They can choose to put on a mask on their children when they want to. And I mean, I will be honest with you, as a physician, when I go and I'm right in front of a 2-year-old who's coughing, you can bet I put on a mask. They're coughing right in my face. I really don't want to inhale a large viral load of something. Is that mask perfect to block everything? Of course not. I know that. But, they sneeze right on me. They vomit, they spew. They're toddlers, I tell people all the time, I've told them for decades, toddlers are inherently filthy in their way. I mean, darling, of course. Wait till you get to that stage.
Yes. Dr. Mass. I'm speaking to Dr. Marion Mass right now. She's in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, which is kind of ground zero for the election fight. We're talking a little bit about the fight for COVID-19. Dr. Mass, we talked a little bit about this the last time that you were on, but I'm curious, I'm sure you've done more research even since then. I'm curious what your thoughts are on the appointment of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to the Department of Health and Human Services. It looks as if he's stepping in and saying already that he wants to completely abolish the nutritional the people who work in the nutrition department of the FDA. What do you think are some of the bright spots, sort of caution things that you're thinking? I mean, how do you feel about it in general? Talk to us a little bit about, what you think we could see in the next few years.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for that question. I think it's wonderful. I think RFK is a very compelling figure. First of all, he's bucking the Democrat Party, and he's doing it. He's bucking his family, and like, what a family, right? So imagine bucking both of those things. He must have some strong convictions about what he's saying. It's interesting. My husband and I just came back from our 30th med school reunion at Duke Med. And I'll say, like, maybe people out there are thinking, oh gosh, she's an ivory tower girl. I mean, I was raised here in Bucks, like I told you. My parents didn't go to college. I went to Penn State. We are, right? And then I ended up at Duke Med School, and it was a wonderful 4 years. Somehow, the difference between then and now is just so stark. Medicine felt like the scrubs were running the show back in 1990 when I started medical school, and we had super ethical people in charge of us. Now, maybe I was just some naive person back then. But, getting together with my classmates, of course, there were people that made comments. I will say, I think there's even people that know that I come from a right-sided bent. And what was really nice to me is they said to me, wow, Marian, I hope you have a voice in years to come, because you have a very reasonable voice, a very solid voice, a very trustworthy advice. Honestly, I went home and, kind of teared up thinking about those words. But RFK, food part, everyone at Duke and people that I hear from all the time, they're all saying he's right about the food. I mean, let's face it, America has very bad diet habits. I think it's going to be hard to legislate that we eat healthy. I think people have to be able to choose to do so, and it takes a long time. I think as a pediatrician like me, I thought about it long and hard when I was raising my children. I think you know this, Austin. I stayed home. I worked nights as a hospitalist. I was like a perpetually exhausted pigeon back in those days. Those kids, we had 3 and 4 years. And I spent a lot of time making sure that my kids had good eating habits. It was a long battle. I mean, you cannot make a toddler eat. You can't. You can put it in front of them. You can't make them eat. But
well, you can starve them if they don't. Dr. Mass, I want to ask you about social prescriptions. The Wall Street Journal wrote about this. They say this is a good RFK Jr. idea. Exercise, nutrition, art, and connection can all help keep people healthy. The Wall Street Journal, they started by saying RFK is wrong about vaccines, but his stated mission to end chronic disease by treating root causes is supported by data showing 80% of our health is determined by behavioral, social, and environmental factors. Last month, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid approved waivers in Arizona, California, New Mexico, and Oregon, allowing Medicaid to cover traditional Native American health practices like dance and music therapy. Massachusetts, New Jersey, Vermont, Utah have created programs effectively prescribing art, nature, and social connections. The idea is called social prescriptions, healthcare referrals for non-medical, community-based resources and activities. Instead of focusing on what's the matter with you, health workers ask what matters to you and offer a social prescription, sports lessons, art classes, or even food and job support. How do you react to that?
Okay, so let's start at the community level, shall we? So here in Bucks County, I've served for about 8 years on the Health Improvement Partnership. It's actually a wonderful collection of people that deal with, the area on aging, on, children and youth. And I have a piece, it's a blog. There's a little thing that needs to be fixed in it, but it'll come out and it talks about why gardening with your children is important. Doing all of these social things to try to help habits, I think is wonderful. I read that part about the dance and the Native American dance. And do we have time that I could tell a very personal story?
Do it. We've got about 15 minutes if we really need it. But yeah, go ahead.
Dang, I rang. I'm like thrilled.
Yeah.
So I've been very upfront in talking about my mother and how she's been a lodestar for me. My mother developed Alzheimer's when she was 78. And I'm not complaining, because there's people that have it when they're 50. It's a horrible path to walk, right? I'm the only daughter. I'm one of 5. And I had to walk my mother up to the memory unit that we had selected for her. I mean, I had to get her room ready. I had to go to her home, find things that, to get her room ready for her. And I walked her up there. I will never forget this. And I will become a little emotional. I'll try to control myself. It's okay. I don't think tears are inherently a bad thing, right? We laugh, we cry. They're both how interesting, because we can't help doing either of them. So I walk her up there and there's music playing. My mother always loved to dance. She was my mother was Ukrainian. She loved a polka. They were playing something like that. And I walked her up, and my mother, just like she had never been there before, she just walked towards the music and started dancing. And they said, okay, just bow out, just go out, and then we'll keep her here and you visit her in a week. But I thought to myself how whenever they played music, even in her later years when the Alzheimer's got bad, it was a help for her. So I do believe that communities doing these social prescriptions and banding together is a wonderful thing. Where I think it could be fraught with problems. If you're taking Medicaid money and you're letting Medicaid pay for these things, whenever you let coverage be the model, like I always say, coverage is not care. But when you let coverage become the model, it's the chance for the middlemen to step in and then to subvert. And then sometimes we end up with fraud, waste, and abuse. And so I think I would like Elon Musk to really pay attention. Wait, is it Elon and Vivek Ramaswamy?
Elon and Vivek at DOGE, yes.
Yes. I think the DOGE needs to kind of think about how this could be. Do we need those social habits fostered and encouraged? Absolutely. But I think they're better done at the local level. I think they're also better done if people have healthcare savings accounts that become their own money. Those healthcare savings accounts need to be empowered. They could be empowered to spend on, Native American dances. They could be empowered to spend on gym memberships. There's a man in my county, Jim Worthington. He's been very, very involved in this whole campaign, and he's done a wonderful job. He opens up his gym complex. He's opened it up for multiple events. J.D. Vance was here. I think President Trump was here. Multiple people were here. But Jim Worthington is a big advocate. He has his own bill in Congress. I think it's called the FIT Act. He wants people to be able to take their healthcare savings accounts and use it for gym memberships. Well, why the heck not? If you have a healthcare savings account, which is functionally your money, use it for dance, use it for food as medicine, use it for your gym membership, use it for direct primary care. Direct primary care is a movement where it works like almost like your phone bill. You pay a doctor a set amount per month, a reasonable amount. We're not talking concierge, but they membership, and then they have full access to that doctor. You know what you end up with? Happy patients with access, happy doctors who are taking care of their patients and giving them extended appointments, often talking about these very things: nutrition, dance, exercise, how to get and stay healthy. And they're keeping their patients out of ERs. It actually saves money. So I love the idea, but I think I'd want some guardrails. I don't know that I want a situation where Medicaid funds could be abused. I like the idea of, and I guess it's kind of libertarianish, right? It's your money. Spend it how you want.
Yeah, that's a solid way to end that there, Dr. Mass. But before we wrap things up here, I have to ask you, because there's so much controversy surrounding things like canola oil, right? Corn oil, soy, all these things. What is your take on seed oils, and should they be banned?
Oh my goodness. I hate the word banned, right? Once again, now we're back at you can't legislate morality. Oh, I'm getting the boos, huh?
No. It's not banning. We're booing the word banning. We hate the word banning.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, no. I do not like the word ban, I think, with regards to your health and your nutrition. But now let's dial it back to something you said before. And you gave me a great opportunity here. Nutritional guidelines, they're coming under the auspices of the Department of Agriculture. That is a gigantic conflict of interest. What's to stop the Department of Agriculture from being infested with, people that are growing all those various seeds, and they want those seeds put in foods? It's
like putting Philip Morris in charge of pulmonary health.
Well, we can talk about that too. There are some implications, but in any case, I think first of all, we have to somehow make sure that we maneuver the conflicts of interest out of the relationship between agriculture and nutrition. And then, we have to look at what we have for real nutrition guidelines. We have to realize it's really hard to come up with actual studies. Because if you're eating something, we're talking about like a whole lifetime of eating something. So how is anyone to tell that the canola oil that I might have used for cooking 10 years ago affected my health today? Certainly what my take as I watched a lot of this unfold was, let's eat food as close to possible as the good Lord gave it to us, right? So of course, it's kind of very selfish. Like, I could never give up cheese. Cheese is so good. What could be wrong with cheese?
Yeah, we got to process it to get that cheese.
Well, but look at the processes that you're doing, like your beneficial bacteria and all the rest. But like I think to myself, like milk fat and animal fats, I mean, they're coming to us from nature, So I mean, if you don't believe
No,
in God, I don't
I get a little
mind. But
nervous, see these memes and it shows like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. standing behind the refrigerator with like his face all in the darkness. And it's like what you see when you go to get a bowl of Fruit Loops at night and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, you're going to have to pry my Lucky Charms from my cold, dead hands, Dr. Mass. Okay, I know when I go to McDonald's or I eat a bowl of Lucky Charms, surprisingly not the worst sugared cereals. I know when I'm doing that what I'm eating. I know that I'm eating crap, but I know when I'm drinking soda that it's bad for me. So I mean, I'm like you. I don't like the word banning, but what I want to know, Dr. Mass, is there anything inherently toxic about seed oils any more than there would be? I mean, listen, if you eat sugar, I don't care if it's high fructose corn syrup or sugar, you eat enough of it in the same amount, sucrose, right? It's like, what's the difference? I mean, is there anything inherently toxic about seed oils, or is it just is it a dosage question here, Dr. Mass?
I would like to think it's a dosage question. Do I know the answer to that? No, I would never snow you and tell you that I know. Okay. So, but what I would say is that I think about this like margarine, right? My father had a heart attack when he was in his 50s. And my brother actually became a cardiologist a little bit because of that. My brother like totally bests me. He's an MD, PhD, brilliant guy down there practicing in Georgia. In any case, at the time, everyone told us, take the salt off the table, put the salt substitute on. I can still see that little shaker, Adolph's salt substitute. It was potassium chloride. They told us, get rid of the butter, do the margarine. Like when you have margarine, you're taking those seed oils and then you're putting them through this electronic process, hydrogenating them, denaturing, adding more bonds. And, we discovered over time, wow, we were really wrong about that. A lot of times we're really wrong about things. So although I would not say never, I would say moderation will always be in key. I'm not drawn to sugar myself, but I think we were a little bit ahead of the curve. My mother that I spoke of before, she saved those sugared cereals for special occasions. Another cute story. My brother was coming home from college at Penn State. He went there too. And it was his birthday. And I got up for breakfast. I said to my mom, oh, what have you done for Martin for his birthday? And my mother's like, oh, she had forgotten his birthday. And, she's looking all around and she goes into her pantry and she finds a box of Captain Crunch, which she bought on sale because we did not grow up wealthy. And she pulls it out and she wrapped it up and she gave it to my brother like half an hour later when he came down for breakfast. My brother thought it was like the real gift because we didn't get that many sugared cereals. She thought all that sugar was like not necessarily good for you. So I would never say ban, but I would say moderation. My daughter gets donuts on her birthday because I don't buy them at other times. I'm an anti-donut.
Right. Well, there you go. And I mean, moderation in all things, including moderation. Dr. Mass, is there anything else that you'd like to share with us or our audience, or maybe a plug for your blog or something before we let you go today? You've been fantastic.
Well, find me at Mass_Marion on X. And you can find me at my name, Marion Mass, on LinkedIn. And it's Marion. It's the usual male spelling. And then I guess I would say, you know what? Pay attention to what's going on in Bucks County, because what it feels like to me is a real we the people moment. Yesterday, there were a lot of patriots rocking the cradle of liberty. And you know what? It's because I think those
You can talk over the crowd. You can talk over the crowd. Go ahead.
Those two commissioners were the hand that rocked the cradle of liberty. It's not our fault that they had a pattern of hiding things, flaunting, if not breaking the law. And they sent the people to the courthouse yesterday. And God bless those people who have been maligned and who have been wronged in past years. But I think this gives the model for people across the United States. Pay attention to who you're electing, not just in big every 4-year elections. You need to do this every year. Let's
That's
rock
right.
the cradle of liberty across the United States.
Amen. I'm going to my local Republican county meeting tonight, try and find some good people to run for office. Dr. Marion Mass, she's a pediatrician, she's a mom, she's a gardener, and she's a patriot. Thank you very much, Dr. Mass. Look forward to speaking to you soon.
Hold, please. So Mika and Joe went down to Mar-a-Lago to kiss the ring. It's the last time I ever watched Morning Joe. Period. End of statement. Unreal. Unreal. For months you were telling us he's the worst thing that could happen to this country and democracy. And then you go kiss his ring? Despicable. Despicable.
Oh my God, yes. Coming up next, how do you turn a conservative woman liberal? Well, there's this one weird trick. We're going to talk to a conservative woman about that. Maybe by the end of the show, she'll be a liberal too, after she hears my misogyny. It's the Wake Up America show. Don't go away. We'll be right back on the For Liberty Network.
Hello, this is Barack Obama, and let me tell you why Austin Peterson stinks, and you should never pay attention to anything that he has to say. First of all, he's a libertarian, and we all know libertarians are idiots. They don't realize how important government is to everything that we do. I recently became aware that Austin has opened up a libertarian shop at apeforlibertyshop.com. Now, I'm asking you as a personal favor to me that you never ever visit apeforlibertyshop.com. With all of the great Liberty merchandise there, the last thing that we need to do is to get people spreading this message around the country, because then they might start thinking that they don't need government. And that's the last thing that good Democrats like us want. So if you love democracy, like me, and hate freedom, then don't visit AP for Liberty Shop. Like I said, whatever you do, do not visit aporlibertyshop.com. I'm Barack Obama, and I approve this message.
I would remind you that extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice.
It is better to settle these matters in the courts than on the streets, and new laws are needed at every level. But law alone cannot make men see right.
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show on the For Liberty Network. Boy, you guys are just feeling like shopping today. Bitches be shopping. We're at forlibertyshop.com. I love it. I saw our friend Kermode Bear has bought the new holiday coffee that we have, Roasted Chestnut, which I ordered as well, and I'm excited to get this week. It's like a very, very limited run, though, so they may run out. At least that's what they told me. So if you want to try the holiday coffees, apparently they're super popular. And so my supplier says that you should just tell your customers very, very limited run. Might not even be there until Christmas. So if you're like Kermode Bear, he stocked up. He bought like 5 boxes of the Martha's Mint. And then today he bought like 3 boxes of the roasted chestnuts. So if you want them chestnuts roasting on an open fire, head to forlibertyshop.com, grab yourself a delicious box of Founding Flavors holiday coffee. And again, it's Christmas time. We don't know what's going to happen with shipping. It could be wild. It could be scary. We don't want to deal with any problems. So get your orders in as soon as possible so that everything can arrive by Christmas Day. Okay, we talked about this story yesterday. The Nancy Mace story. She is a congresswoman who introduced a bill to prevent a transgender lawmaker from using her bathroom. She used her own story of sexual assault to claim that she doesn't want to be in a bathroom with men. Totally understand. However, things have gotten a little weird as she started to tussle online with another friend of our show, Brad Palumbo, going back and forth, asking for clarity, and even Sarah Higdon, who was on my show yesterday, asking the congresswoman for some clarity. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, she starts whipping out liberal epithets, liberal attacks, saying, no vagina, no opinion, which reminds me of a lot of the type of things that liberals say when they're talking about abortion to men. So how do we turn a conservative woman into a liberal with one weird trick? Joining us now to discuss is Camelia Peterson. Good morning, CJ. Nice to see you.
Good morning. Yeah,
how are you feeling today?
Is stupid.
Everything is stupid, and I hate it all. Merry Christmas. Bah humbug.
Yeah.
Camelia, what's the latest scoop? What's the poop?
I mean, so I used to like Nancy Mace.
Me too. Ron Pauler.
She came out, yeah, and she came out and she had, pretty libertarianish views on things, and like leave people alone, let them live their lives, whatever, blah blah blah. But like the further along she's gone, she's just become like a show horse. Like everything is attention seeking, and she's like, it's just all performative, and it's just all so tiresome.
It is. It's exhausting.
And he's like, she came out with this. And I mean, I'm sorry, but like, I know that the bathroom issue is, can be a very real, legitimate issue, but there has to be some balance to it. And sometimes you make something worse by virtue of making such a big deal about it. Because honestly, this is why I'm a fan of just everybody going to just individual bathrooms, period. Like, that would be the end of the problem. Right. And so, but the thing is that, she started out, and this was clearly, like she says, it's not right, but this was clearly targeted at the trans member who came into Congress, Sarah, I can't remember her last name, but yeah, it clearly targeted at that person. And but the thing is like, it wasn't done in any kind of a balanced way. Like, so it's not okay for men that haven't, to go into women's bathrooms, but it's okay for women to go into men's bathrooms. Like, why? I mean, what's the difference? Like, she was very specific. And so,
right. So it was like, so the way that she had formulated the legislation was that specifically men cannot go into women's bathrooms, but the inverse was not true. If there was too long a line, maybe for the women's room, they could use the men's room.
Right.
Well, that's very nice of them to offer themselves that privilege, ladies.
And here's the thing is like, people like Brad Palumbo were presenting, and you had raised this too, like we're presenting some really legitimate arguments as far as like, how do you really, in a practical way, logistically handle this? When you have somebody who like, you could not tell as a trans person. Like, there are some people you cannot tell if they're done really well. And so you then, like, how do you enforce that? Like, how do you know for sure and make them go into the correct biological bathroom? Like, there's all kinds of pitfalls to this kind of legislation. And I was having a conversation with some friends about it yesterday. And the thing is like, there's a totally legitimate argument to be made that, men should not be going into a bathroom and using the stall next to little girls. Like, absolutely. I don't want them in there either. But also, like, how am I going to know that? Because it's the bad actors who, that the whole trans thing is clearly an attention-seeking mental illness, because they don't even try. Like, they don't even try to make themselves look like women, right?
But even mentally ill people have to use the bathroom.
Sure. Well, I mean, that's true. But, that's just, anyway, like, it is just fraught with all kinds of unintended consequences. And I don't know how you reasonably do it. But yeah, she basically, for the people who are pushing back with that, with legitimate questions, she just has turned on them and is saying all kinds of crazy things. I was trying to find the one where she said to Brad yesterday, it was so classless. I mean, honestly, Sarah McBride, I don't know if you saw her response to the whole brouhaha, and she's saying, look, I'm here to, represent my constituents and get things done, and I'll use the men's restroom if that's what they want. Fine. Like, I'm not, that's
so she was kind of like, so the trans lawmaker was kind of like, all right, fine, whatever. I'll just, I'll go along with all of this. Like, while Nancy Mace is kind of like crowing and cawing and desperate
mind
for attention. Yeah. It's like,
yes. And it's just, it's ridiculous. Like, the thing is like, she's coming out, and now somebody's like, people are questioning. Remember I said, I don't know if some of the people in the chat remember, I was asking yesterday or the day before, is like, she just looks like, she looks more gaunt. Like, she has the Ozempic look, right?
Yeah.
And so somebody apparently finally mentioned that on Twitter. And she said that she's lost almost 30 pounds in the last 12 months due to PTSD from a deeply traumatic event. Okay, like,
okay.
I mean,
okay, well, how much are we supposed to, deal with her mental illness? Which bathroom should her mental illness go for?
Like, and here's the thing, like, how do we know what to believe out of her anymore either?
I know.
Mean, you can only use your own trauma so much for a crutch to where people don't start taking you seriously, and you hurt people who are actually dealing with actual trauma.
Exactly. Camellia.
This is ridiculous.
Yes, Camellia. Now, I can't be a misogynist because I'm a girl dad, right? So, like, it's impossible for me to hate women. I love women, okay? I don't hate women. I'm not a misogynist. I just sound exactly like one and say everything that misogynists would say. I do find it weird, though, because I'll find myself like giving red pill sort of talking points, and everybody who agrees with me is like a Catholic, like patriarchal right-wing guy who, and I'm just kind of like, how did I find myself in this company? But here's the thing. Nancy Mace's career, it was built on the fact that she went to the Citadel. Now, she did not sue to go to the Citadel, of which she went to in 1999. Right. She did not sue to go there, but another woman did sue to get into the Citadel, and she used that. Eventually, that woman decided not to go, but Nancy Mace used that woman's lawsuit to go to the Citadel. It's time for us, ladies, to have a frank conversation about men's spaces and women's spaces. And I see some conservative simps, some beta males who are out there saying, this situation is not analogous. And let me, trust me, as a girl dad, I feel a strong like sense of like a desire to protect the women in my life. Right, and to protect them from predators, to protect them from harm. Right, this is not some like thing like because I love women and the women in my life. I don't think that they should have to fear like predators in the bathrooms. But I don't think women seem to understand the irony here, because what you'll see is conservative women who love to whore themselves out online with their tits out in their photographs, and talk about their conservative values, and they pose themselves out there with their voluptuous breasts exposed, like a liberal female might if she were to have an OnlyFans, right? All she's missing is the OnlyFans, on one hand. And then on the other hand, there is the question of, if you were to try and take away the privileges that society has afforded you, ladies, they turn into left-wing liberal feminists so fast you can't see straight. So like Nancy Mace, right? Hardcore right-wing conservative. It's a conservative issue to prevent trans men from, trans women who are going into bathrooms they shouldn't go into. I agree with that, right? They shouldn't be in sports either. Agree with that. I'm with the conservatives.
Sure.
But where I depart from quote-unquote conservatives is where conservative women want to enjoy the benefits and the privileges of citizenship here in the United States without the accordant responsibilities. Now, I know, Camellia, that accountability is women's kryptonite, but I'm going to hold it up to your face and ask you, Camellia, to be accountable. Do you think it's right that you don't have to sign up for selective service, right? That you get to vote and you get to have a say in what's going on? I mean, we make the joke about you're always like, it's an online issue to talk about women can't vote. You probably shouldn't be able to vote if you are getting rights without responsibilities, because with rights should come responsibilities. And the problem with modern American women, and I'll say it again and then I'll shut up and let you talk, is that equality would be a step down. Your response.
So I do agree that if women want to be in the military, they should also be subject to the draft. Like, we should not have a draft, period, right? That's the bottom line there. But totally agree, when women want to be in the military, that they should also be subject to the same criteria, the same qualifications, the same tests, the same draft. Like, 100% agree. I don't, as far as the right, like we can debate like what are the responsibilities if you have the right to vote, because there's also the argument that, well, only people who pay taxes should vote, or only property owners should vote. Which, like,
there's a good argument there. Good argument.
Sure,
there.
like I agree, like, because you talk about, like, do you have an investment in the country that you're living in, right? So, but there are also, everything is trade-offs, right? And I think that there are more cons than pros to some of those arguments. But, if we did the whole property thing, like, there would be women who would be able to vote and a lot of men who wouldn't be able to vote. So, I mean, there's pros and cons to every argument, but I absolutely think that if you want equality, that the same standards should apply to you.
Yes. And there's a reason why there's no women Navy SEALs. Right, because if you actually have to live up to these principles, right, to to the standards to get in, women will not be able to get into those things, right? But the problem is we've had DEI, Camellia. We've lowered the standards, right? You've had lawsuits. You know, women have, I say you know, the royal you, right? But the lawsuits to get into the Citadel, I think it's a mistake. It's wrong. The lawsuit, the problem is that we continue to add on the benefits of citizenship and the privileges of citizenship without the accordant responsibilities. And what you see, and thankfully Donald Trump won, so the men have finally started to take their place back, a rightful place back in society, right? Is what we've seen is you see these screeching, crying females online because they can't stomach a world in which they aren't constantly micromanaging the rest of our lives. Man, they love to the women love to tell you what to do. Man, they love to boss you around. They love to, for all the talk about male dictators, right? Like most of the people in my life who have been so bossy have been females. But you get to that position as a privilege, right? It's handed to them without any accordant responsibilities. I can't take control of anyone in my life without some accordant responsibility, right? I don't get to tell Brad Beckman what to do on a daily basis that I don't have to sign a paycheck every 2 weeks. I have a responsibility to him and to his family, and I have these obligations that that come along with it. And I think that what we have we've been exposed to weaponized feminism. And I don't mean that in necessarily the ideological sense, feminism, but like weaponized feminism for something like 30, 40 years. And I think that has been one of the primary reasons for the degradation of our society and the degradation into licentiousness, right? And into, consider what you call decadence, for example. Like, why are we decadent, right? Because most men aren't into like rhinestones and glitter and Taylor Swift. Right. We tend to be fairly Spartan. You walk into a man's house, he doesn't even necessarily need to be rich. He might just have like one couch, if you're lucky, and his bed mattress sits on the floor. Right. So where is this decadence coming from? Right. It's that strong female trait. You have too much power, Camellia, and we're going to wrestle it away from you. How do you like that?
So you're right. Like and I think that this points to the complementary with an E, with differences between men and women. And it's why we are good for each other, because we bring that balance. What women bring to a home is different than what men bring to a home. And we need both things. So, but I was just thinking that when you talk about weaponized feminism, I think there's an argument to be made that you can also have weaponized libertarianism, because
You mean autism?
well,
But then you repeat yourself. Yes, go ahead.
Right. So because the thing is like with freedom with no responsibility, like becomes a tyranny in itself. And
Yes.
so I think that, that's an important thing that we forget in terms of, because we're individualism, right? But you can't have individualism, libertarianism, freedom. You can't have any of those things without some personal responsibility.
Correct.
And so like we've left that behind, not only with feminism, but if that has permeated so many other aspects of our society, and what we really need to get back to. And I think that we've been trending back in the right direction on this. And I do think when you talk about DEI and all of those bad policies that are really not equality, they actually are bad for people who are maybe less gifted than other people in some ways, right? They don't recognize the individual differences in people that make them special. Like not everybody's going to be a rocket scientist, and like heaven knows we don't need them to be, right? We need all different kinds of people. That's what makes humanity beautiful. And so I think that we are seeing the backlash against a lot of those things because, companies all over the place are starting to backpedal and get rid of their DEI departments because it's not profitable, because people are seeing that like this doesn't work. And as far as like, and I think that's happening on the trans issue as well, right? I think that we're seeing enough public backlash and from people like Sarah Higdon, who are just trying to like live their lives and they're not looking for attention. And it's the bad actors among them that are making life, hellish for, the rest of them. So I think that we are seeing a trend in that direction, but people like Nancy Mace are the ones who just ruin everything.
Camelia, yes, at some point we have enough rocket people, we have enough things, and at this point I feel like we're just really oversaturated with booby streamers, but I blame the men. We're going to talk about that with Daniela Pensack here in just a couple of minutes. Camelia, anything else you want to share with our listeners before we let you go today?
I just wanted to say, I think, when you talk about some of the appointments that Trump is making, and, I've kind of had mixed opinions on some of them, but just what a fascinating timeline that we're living in, where we have, the CEO of the WWE as our Secretary of Education, and there's all of these fantastic, videos and memes out there now. It's just it's amazing. And she's very, very qualified.
Yes, actually, I have a video right now. I'm pulling it up. The mayor of Knox County, Tennessee, tombstones our next Secretary of Education in what must be a dispute over federalism. Here he is, Glenn Jacobs, grabbing the Secretary of Education, and there it is. Say goodnight. There we go. Yes, you violated the Constitution, and we've taken you out there, Camelia.
Nothing actually, and just reading a little bit more about her background just briefly this morning. I've never been into WWE, right? But I'm a little fascinated now with the different things that she has done, with that business and her platform. And just really great. And so, by the way, just for everybody, we were talking about this before the show, for everybody's information, it's not Linda McMahon. I know it looks like that spelled that way. It is Linda McMahon. You're welcome. Probably all the WWE people are like,
Thank
we
you.
know.
No, right.
Now
it's a WWE. Yeah, lest you think that these rednecks and these commoners who watch the World Wrestling Organ don't know anything. At least they know how to pronounce the name of our incoming Secretary of Education. Camelia, we appreciate you very much. Thanks for all you do for freedom. We appreciate it.
Have a great day, everyone.
Have a good one.
So one of the big reasons he bought Twitter/X is because he wanted to make it his own platform, remake it in his own image. And I think this really gets at it. Look at this. The party ID among those who regularly use X/Twitter for news. Back in 2022, 65% of those who regularly use Twitter/X for news were Democrats. Just 31% were Republicans. Look at where we are today. Just a completely different picture. Now it's basically split between Democrats at 48%, Republicans at 47%. And what I should note, Mr. Berman, is this new overall makeup matches the overall electorate far better. And more than that, John, look at where Mr. Musk's net worth is today versus where it was just 2 months ago. He is the richest man in the world by far. 2 months ago, look at this. His net worth was $252 billion. Look at where we are today, $314 billion. He is by far the richest man ever to be on this planet. So yes, he's not as popular. Yes, Twitter/X perhaps is not as popular, but it's a much different platform, one that more represents.
What are you talking about, bro? This is what they were saying 2 years ago. This was MSNBC 2 years ago predicting what would happen.
Elon Musk was supposed to be a vanguard of personal freedom, a genius whose brilliance with rocket ships and electric cars would bring Twitter to space-age greatness. Instead, the microblogging platform that once enabled regular people to speak truth to power, the very powerful networking and organizing tool that helped to herald in the Arab Spring and the summer of racial justice protests, that social media network that made the world a little smaller is now on the brink of collapse.
Really? Really? Oh, really? You love to see it. We've got so much more fun to go. It's the Wake Up America show. Sign of Jonah, our buddy Brad Beckman got you your Doge patch. Head over to forlibertyshop.com and get it. We'll be right back with Daniela Pensack on the Wake Up America show, rhymed, on the For Liberty Network.
if there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
I think that at the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian and always has been.
Yet any time you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being against their humanitarian goals. They say we're always against things, we're never for anything.
What is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation.
Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
The conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government, get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
If I had to pick up the phone, call 911 for one of my family members or one of my neighbors, what would I do if no one was on the other end to respond? What if there was no 911? So you can be a part of the solution.
Anybody can be a firefighter. Male, female, younger, older.
We have school teachers. We have leaders in business.
Is me, you, anyone that wants to be. There is no typical firefighter.
Do you hate the deep state? Do you reject the Antichrist in all his ways? Do you believe that aliens controlled LBJ to assassinate John F. Kennedy? Did you know that the shot can put chemicals in you that will make you more sensitive to 5G? Do you love America? Do you want more freedom? Do you like smoking hot red-headed libertarians? Then the AP for Liberty shop is for you! Check out all the awesome new merch and have a happy new year! Fight the deep state, reject the Antichrist. Visit AP for Liberty shop and get your patriotic merchandise now, or the deep state wins.
Let me just finish this. So wealthy families are overwhelmingly the recipients of school voucher tax credits. I'm not making this up. This has been studied. In 2020, a 2020 study found that only about half of states with voucher programs require teachers to have a bachelor's degree, require teachers to have training, require teachers to have
So that's just
licensing,
not my
require
experience.
participating
So the
private
If
schools.
I may get in, just to make it a
Wait,
conversation.
but because I have children and because
that
I
what
looked
this
at
is?
looked at the
Well, I
private
went
schools,
to public school. I believe you got to go to private school.
There is zero statistical
You got to go to
significance.
private school. When you talk about
because
how
nobody
education
can
is
figure out what's
one
being
last
said
point.
here
One last
right
point.
now. No, there is no last thing right now. We're going to go to break,
Well, we gotta make
and
it
then
a
we're gonna come back.
Yes.
Because you can't. What's happening is no one can hear anything anyone is
People
saying.
have to
So everybody
put a
has
period
to.
on it so we can talk.
Well,
that
you know,
goes for you too, my dear.
I haven't
that's
gotten a word, and she's been talking
We'll
for
be
3
right
minutes.
Ladies, is everything all right over there? Good morning. Rise in freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show on the For Liberty Network. The For Liberty Network consists of 3 podcasts. There's mine, the Wake Up America show. Am I not beautiful? There's Culturama at 7 p.m. tonight, 7 to 9 p.m., and you can watch that at rumble.com/Culturama. The lovely Daniela Pensack will be joining us here in just a moment to talk about women's issues. At 8:30 a.m. This morning, she's going to join us. She's joining us here in just a few. And then tonight, 7 to 9 p.m., watch her show Culturama. Right after that, watch the benevolent monarch of libertarianism take a victory lap, King Libertarian and Brian Piotr of Liberty Tonight, directly after Culturama. You have to watch my show. You have to watch those shows. And you get to watch King Libertarian tonight dunk on us all because he got the Elon Musk retweet. Wow, he's so cool now. Congratulations to him. Okay. Well, we all know that there's no hope for the ladies of The View. Maybe they got to go get an education. Oh, wait. They probably all have advanced degrees. Most of them have higher degrees than me, including my next guest, who is a step above me education-wise. Let's hear from academia on high, her opinions. Her name is Daniela Pensack. She joins us live for Thirsty Thursdays. Good morning, Daniela. Nice to see you.
Good morning, Austin. Thank you for having me.
Hey, have you been having fun with Culturama? It's been great to see your interactions with the audience. It seems like people are really enjoying it. How are you having? Are you having fun?
I'm having a lot of fun doing it, actually. I'm getting more used to it. I believe I've been doing it only for a month now, so I'm still learning the ropes, but it's a lot of fun. I have the usual fans show up and some new people, too, so it's exciting to see where the show's going and how it's growing.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I was watching your show the other night, and I thought to myself, this would be a great topic for us to talk about. This was the tweet that you had. Let me pull it up right here on the screen so people can see it. And this was your quote, where you said that academia is women's work. Male college attendance is steadily dropping. 6 of the 8 Ivy League universities had female presidents. Women outpace men at attaining degrees at every level, including 62.8% of associate degrees, 58.5% of bachelor's, 62.6% of master's, and 57% of doctoral degrees. Higher education is captured by women. And this was inspired by this kind of like e-girl looking chick dressed as a Playboy bunny showing off her Harvard degree. People were like, there's no way somebody this hot could be going to Harvard. But the conversation is about women and academia, that it is largely owned by women. Good thing, bad thing, your take, your thoughts, Daniela.
Yeah, so, clearly I have mixed feelings about it as a woman that has benefited from higher education. I do consider myself a natural academic, so when I do speak about this subject, I try to tread on it lightly. However, as you've mentioned and as you read out the statistics I put out there, academia is becoming largely women's work. And I think there's several reasons for this. It's rather multifaceted. For one, it is very cerebral and it is very, how would I say, office based, I guess you could put it. And so women are less likely to get into the trades. They just don't have the physical stamina to do so, I would say. Women aren't very as mechanical or oriented in the same way that men are. So it makes sense why men are going more towards the trades, especially as academia is being captured primarily by women. But I also think it's actually in the long term a negative situation because as we have seen, as more women enter academia and completely capture it, we are seeing, and I've seen it myself as well and experienced, a feminization of higher education. And I think in the long term that is bad actually when you consider women's competition style and the fact that women are extremely critical creatures researchers. And I think this is why we've also seen the rise of critical theory and academia, which, of course, with higher education, there's always going to be some level of critical theory. That's just natural. But I think that's been accelerated with women. And that's why we have had the woke agenda proliferating within higher education for the last, I would say, couple generations now.
What do you think men would provide in terms of a benefit if we had a little bit more equality in the diversity, equity, and equality standards? So what do you think men would bring to academia that would be a benefit?
So this is where we have to look in the competition style between men and women. Just to simplify it, basically, and there has been studies done on this, as sociologists have written on this, is that the feminized style of competition is very social based, right? And women will tend to ostracize each other. And what we tend to see is that, especially when we're building social hierarchies, women are far more adept at this. And what women will do is that they will stifle conversation if they see someone as being a social competition. And you don't see that same thing with men. And of course, I'm simplifying this entire thing just to bring the point across. But essentially, what occurs is that men are not as adept at ostracizing people socially, and they're more adept at actually engaging in direct conflict. And women are afraid of direct conflict for the most part. I would say on average, women will rather build these social hierarchies and they'll ostracize difference of opinion. And what men will do is that they'll engage in direct conflict. And what you see essentially in academia is that when you are more willing to engage in intellectual conflict, what will happen is that you will come across more discovery, better quality research, and also in a way, openness to new ideas more so than women are. And what has occurred within academia and the competition style in academia and also the quality of research, I think is the quality has went down completely because people are just not willing to engage in these novel ideas and novel concepts and engage in the process of discovery. Women just seem to be less adept and less likely to do so like men are. And so I think in the long term, what will occur is that we will have less quality research, the invocation of critical theory, and and also, which is what we've seen the woke agenda basically proliferate from, is critical race theory, especially critical gender theory, and the social sciences is what women are primarily focused on, rather than other fields that I think need more attention to.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Danielle. Lots of good points in there with that one. I could go down a lot of different rabbit holes, but I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the left's reaction to the voters. The primary constituency of Donald Trump voters seems to be among the poorly educated, as they say, meaning that the people who voted for Donald Trump were largely college uneducated, meaning men who did not go to college. And that has driven the left insane because it seems as if the left's mantra is everybody needs to go get an education. But the thing is, what we seem to understand and recognize is that the level of education that you got is probably one of the best predictors for which political party you're going to vote for. Do you think that correlation is causation in this case?
I think that there is going to be a lot of changes. There's a lot of changes that must be had with higher education. But you're right. As far as like MAGA voters are concerned, typically they are less educated. Conservatism in general seems to follow that trend. And there's many different reasons for that. But I think what we will start to see is kind of like a reckoning with higher education that was kind of like waiting to happen for quite some time now. With the invocation of postmodernism within higher education, we've kind of seen that decline happen, becoming more leftist, right? And I think that, and maybe I'm an optimist here, Austin, but I think that with the conversations that I've been seeing happen within the greater right-wing movement, with Trump, mentioning bringing in a new accreditation system with colleges in the United States, I think that there may be sort of like a renaissance to be had with higher education in the United States. It's a long-term process, but I think there's conversations being had now because people are starting to see the utmost decline that's occurring with higher education and people who get degrees now. It really is meaningless. The degree is completely watered down in terms of its meaning. You can't even get a job without having, multiple degrees at this point. It's affecting everyone, me included, in finding decent work and making a living. And so what we've been seeing is that I think there are conversations being had about like what is equality, or what is like the necessity of even having higher education anymore if like the quality output is very poor and it's practically meaningless. And so I think, for a few more election cycles, that's still going to be the trend that liberal voters will tend to be more higher educated. But I honestly think that is bound to change. And I think also more conservative thinkers will be reinvigorated to enter academia once again. But I could be an optimist here. I don't know. That's what I see the trend looking like, though.
There we go. Daniela Pensack joining us live on the Wake Up America show. She's the host of her own talk show that will be live tonight on the For Liberty Network. You can find it at forlibertynetwork.com. And Daniela is talking to us a little bit about women's issues. Speaking of women's issues, Daniela, this will be a little bit touchy here because I'm coming for you a little bit on this one.
That's
but
right.
through a little side
okay.
angle, talking about confrontation, right? Men being more confrontational here. In terms of women's privileges in modern society, did you take a look at the situation with Nancy Mace and the trans bathroom bill there in Capitol Hill? It's been a kind of a big dust up, but I noted that in the last 24 hours, the people who have been criticizing her have been more of the right-wing types, libertarian types, and things like that, asking about how this bill would essentially, go again. It applies to one gender, but it doesn't apply to the other, meaning that biological men would not be allowed into biological women's bathrooms, but it doesn't block biological women from going into biological men's bathrooms, right? So the ladies seem to be protecting themselves, not protecting us. Not that we necessarily need protecting, but I just thought that was interesting. And I would have probably just ignored that if it weren't for the fact that when people were asking her about that, she started using insults against Brad Palumbo, for example, who's a friend of mine. Like things like, if you don't sit down to pee, then you don't get an opinion. Right, which is an insult that leftists use whenever men try and have an opinion on abortion or things like that. It's fascinating how quickly, when someone suggests perhaps removing a privilege that a woman might have, or when there's a proposal for actual equality, I note that conservative women tend to rebel. There's something of a feminism in modern American conservative females, and it's sort of a have your cake and eat it too scenario. Are you noticing this, or am I noticing? It feels like I'm noticing something here, and maybe I really need to trust my instincts here. I notice there's a strong strain of liberal feminism in my conservative females. Is there not?
Yeah, that was really unfortunate that she had to invoke some leftist language there. It is going to alienate a big portion of her base. I was unaware of the comments by Brad Palumbo. I just had seen, as soon as I woke up this morning, I seen some of that from his colleague Hannah Cox. So I was unaware of the comments that she said to these people. But if what she said is true and she's invoking leftist language, I mean, I can understand where she's coming from, because as far as I'm aware, she is sort of like an inflammatory figure, or at least she has been previously. And so she's done these stunts before. But it is unfortunate she used that language, and it is going to alienate a big part of her base. But yeah, you're right. There is this sort of have your cake and eat it too situation with most American women. And,
not most American women, Daniela. Let's not don't move the goalposts here. Let's focus in on the conservative women here and talk about how their feminism comes out when the privileges start to go down. Yeah, and I think the reason why she did that, it was supposed to be strategic, but it didn't happen that well, because she says, or she claims, that she is a survivor of sexual assault, if I'm not mistaken, or something to that degree. Again, I don't know too much about her, but I think what she was trying to do is, because this is such a touchy subject with men, women's entering spaces, and you have to admit that it is important for men to have their own spaces, yes. However, with men entering women's spaces, there's a greater potential for danger. And I think what she's trying to do is invoke a sense of this sentiment, almost this protective sentiment that men and women have in protecting female spaces. If she really was more strategic, she would acknowledge the logical issue that she's
has to contend with, and that this has to be completely a meritocratic approach to this situation. If she wants to be equal, she truly has to be equal. So her comments, I think, were a bit uncalled for. However, the conversation about who's entering whose spaces, I think, is more dire and more drastic when we are considering men entering women's spaces. Again, willing to admit that men need their own spaces as well. And that, I think, that's also going to see a renaissance come out as the right wing continues to propel forward. But I think
is it more dire? Is it more dire and more drastic because the consequences of men entering women's spaces is more the consequences of it are more immediately felt versus having someone like Nancy Mace going into the Citadel, invading male spaces, getting rid of clubs, getting rid of men's societies and golf clubs, getting rid of areas for men to meet and to gather in the locker room, and us being able to have these fraternal societies that exclude women, right? Whereas the social and cultural degradation happens more insidiously over time. Men aren't being sexually assaulted, right, in the private spaces by, a woman who claims to be a man and goes in there, right? That's not that kind of scenario. But those kinds of things tend to make the headlines when things like that do it, right? But, but as well, women will evoke more sympathy, right? So when things like that happen, we're going to feel more sympathy. So what do we get, Danielle? I'm sure you have a few of them, beta male orbiters, right? A few simps out there, right, who agree with everything that you have to say because you're a beautiful woman, and so you can take advantage of that. There's a pretty privilege for men, but it's not anywhere near as much as women. But I guess what I'm really getting to here, Daniela, is that the confrontation is building towards between men and women. And this election was very much, I think, a proxy war between men and women with Donald Trump. And a lot of women voted for Donald Trump, right? So give them a pass for sure. But there does seem to be a war that's continuing, or that's brewing to this cultural what do we call it? A touch point, right? A flash point that we're building towards, where we're going to have a discussion about what it means to exclude one gender from another gender space, and why I think that the whole trans bathroom bill is really a proxy for a larger discussion. But I mean, don't you think, Danielle, and I think you've even admitted this on the show before, don't you think that even you personally are going to resist if men like me try and exclude women from certain spaces? I mean, you are a female who went and got a master's degree, like you're highly educated, right, and all that. But I mean, on one hand, you seem to be saying, men need to have their own spaces. They need to have their, right, we need, more men in academia, but that will come at the expense of women, right? And that would come at the expense of women like yourself. If more men get into academia, that means more Daniela Pensac. That means fewer Daniela Pensacs in the future. Are you willing to make that sacrifice, not just in general for your gender, but for yourself as well?
I will say this: there's only one Danielle Pensac. There's a lot of women though,
Yes.
but it depends on what you mean by space, like a male's protected male space. There's private spaces and then there's public spaces. In the terms of holding office or getting to positions where you can be a primary decision maker, I think that should be completely based on merit. Now, private spaces like clubs, golf courses, I things like that, that's completely different, and that can be a sex specific place. So there has to be some level of egalitarianism or meritocracy if we're going to allow people to take positions of power, which they can be decision makers, but that should be based on some level of meritocracy. And I believe that is included within academic spaces, because academic spaces should be open to anyone if they can get into those positions, right?
But the problem is that they've been given sort of a leg up, right? The DEI standards have put women in a position where, to put this another way, when women talk about busting up through the glass ceiling, isn't that another way of saying that they're invading male spaces?
Again, no, because
come on, Danielle, be careful about how you answer that one. When you're breaking through the glass ceiling,
I'm definitely opposed to affirmative action. or DEI. That's not meritocracy, though. That's not meritocracy. The glass ceiling thing, like, it just depends on where the conversation goes on that. But if it's purely a meritocratic system, that should be open to both men and women or any race. It doesn't matter if you have the merit to do so. And I think that the reaction of the right wing, especially, which is primarily male dominated, is that, and I understand the sentiment that that the reaction is going to be overblown because leftists, especially stupid leftist women, are going to ruin it for women like me that actually do have the merit. But now, like, we're going to have the right wing completely push against that, go beyond meritocracy and say that we should completely eliminate minorities from engaging in those spaces or even obtaining those spaces if they have the merit to do so. And that's the great sin of the left, I think. But I was always an advocate for meritocracy only. And unfortunately, and I've said this in my show as well on Tuesday, that if we do have a truly meritocratic system, you will see like certain groups of people excel over others. And in the case of academia, men will excel beyond women. But that should be okay, because at the end of the day, men are just more capable of, engaging in and excelling in these spaces more than women. And that's fine. But we shouldn't have to force women or these people in positions where they just aren't adept at, performing well in.
Yes, I noticed that, in culture and society, I noticed that there is this very strong push to get women into positions on corporate boards and to get them to head tech companies, but there's no corresponding push to try and get more men into the nursing industry, right? There isn't a strong push to get women to come and work with us out in the job sites, digging ditches and trenches and laying cable and different things like that. So it's a very, very, very narrow interest that the left and liberal feminists and conservative feminists, I will call them, have in pushing women into certain careers, into certain jobs. They're not pushing for equality in like the day laborer jobs, right? They're pushing for equality in things that will specifically grant them more money, more power in society. Not merit-based, right, but gender-based. And I do see this a lot with conservative women who consider themselves to be anti-feminists, but at the end of the day, once you start talking about making things more meritocratic, that's when the liberal feminist starts coming out, and we start to see a different talk. Daniela, your show is tonight, Culturama, at 7 p.m. Central Time. What are you going to be talking about on your show this evening?
Well, this is one of the topics. I'm going to be talking about a lot of different ones. I also have an interview guest as well this today, but I don't want to give it away. I'm just going to have to say people are going to have to come in the show and just take a listen for themselves. If I give too much away, I'm not going to have too many viewers then.
Oh, okay. All right, that's very interesting. Okay, Daniela, we'll be excited to see you tonight, 7 p.m. Central Time on Culturama. Anything else you want to share before we let you go?
I'm just going to push people to follow me on Twitter. That's where you can get the most updates on the show and other things that I tweet. So it's at Pensac Danielle on Twitter. Also, follow the show as well on Rumble, on X. Well, actually, you can watch on X. You can follow updates on X on my Twitter, but on Locals as well. You can find us there through the For Liberty Network.
There we go. Daniela Pensac, we appreciate you very much. Thank you for all you do for freedom and for the For Liberty Network. We'll see you tonight at 7 p.m. Central. Have a great show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
These days, they do it using social media. Now, what Elon has, if people keep forgetting, because they say, well, he doesn't have a legislative mandate here. And I say, oh, he's got better than that. He's got X. So what happens is you're in some state somewhere and you own a project to nothing and you're spending $2 billion. He just will shame you out. He'll start naming to all of your voters exactly what you've done wrong and what you're not doing to fix it. And I love the concept of just squeezing heads to stop waste, because all he has to do is turn on the machine. Now, it's going to be very contentious. I've said this multiple times about this mandate. The power he has is not to be underestimated, because if you can get to the voter of that governor or that senator that's wasting money in his eyes, and he can make a good case on X, you're going to cause a lot of damage in that constituency. And I love this idea because it's a negotiation. That's what it is. If you don't fix this, I'm going to call you out.
There we go. Elon Musk going to call him out with DOGE. Please do it, Elon. Call him out on X. Call him out with DOGE. The Department of Government Efficiency will be kicking off here in just 60 days. So excited. Or is it 30? Yeah, 60 days away from the Department of Government Efficiency playing hell in Washington, D.C. It's time for you to join me, Elon Musk, and Vivek Ramaswamy at the Department of Government Efficiency. You will become a field agent. So get your field agent jacket at forlibertyshop.com, just like Kilsharian did. The beautiful Department of Government Efficiency field agent jacket is a nice, cozy, comfy windbreaker. There you go. Look at that beautiful blue jacket. Looks like you're in the FBI, but you're not a Fed. You're not a Fed. It's an outside group. And we are the unofficial Department of Government Efficiency merch shop. Get those exclusively at forlibertyshop.com. I got to tell you guys, these holiday coffees, 33 days until they're gone. That's really just an advisory right there. 33 days, 15 hours, 4 minutes until you can't buy our holiday coffees anymore. The Roasted Chestnut Delight, the Martha's Mint, might sell out before then. So if you want to taste my delicious founding flavors, then can you bless me with something?
Can you bless me with something?
Oh, gosh.
Money-wise. Please.
Can you suck it?
What?
Remember, guys, your boy AP for Liberty is working every single day in the fight for liberty. Thursday night, at like 6 p.m., I'm going to my local county Republican club, try and make my county a little bit more free place. Every day I produce the Wake Up America show, trying to make America a freer place. And then when I have a little bit of time, I go home, I kiss my baby, and I give a little bit of milk in the bottle. But if you are doing Christmas shopping this year, don't spend your money on corporations that hate you. I know what you're going to do. You're going to walk the aisles of some corporation that's going to take your money, and then they're going to turn around and they're going to spend it on an abortion for their employee, right? Don't do that. Don't spend your money on corporations that hate you if you can help it. I understand it. We're not a superstore over at forlibertyshop.com, but we're becoming that way, a patriotic superstore. And we can't be everything to everyone. But if you have patriotic people in your life that love freedom, that love liberty, that love coffee, Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, Donald Trump, then buy your merchandise here. Buy your Christmas presents this year at forlibertyshop.com. That's the number 4, libertyshop.com. Get that Christmas shopping done through the Grift Shop, guys. And we'll see you all here tomorrow, Freedom Family Friday, on the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network. Bye, guys. Love you all. Thanks so much for all the support. We appreciate you. See you tomorrow. Today's bonus content. Your support equitably.
Jump, and I approve this message. Believe me, Austin Peterson is the best. He's got the greatest Wake Up America show I've ever seen. Whenever I tune in the mornings and watch the live stream, let me tell you, he has got the absolute best content. I love his guests. It's just a total blast to watch, and I highly endorse and recommend the Wake Up America show. It's terrific, believe me.
Is the outdoor of your home about as exciting as a library? Then spice it up and unbore your space with our custom metal signs. Crafted with love and a bit of libertarian magic, you can customize your own metal sign at ap4libertyshop.com. So head to ap4libertyshop.com, customize your own metal sign today.
Welcome to a world of vocal discovery at Peterson Voice Studio. I'm Justin Peterson, here to guide your musical journey. Envision a place where your voice reaches new heights, where every note tells a story. We embrace all singers, from the enthusiastic shower vocalists to aspiring stars. ensuring each voice finds its unique rhythm and tone. Are you ready to elevate your voice? Visit PetersonVoiceStudio.com and sign up for remote lessons tailored just for you. Let's begin this melodious journey together.
Tired of spending your hard-earned money on woke corporations that don't share your pro-freedom values? Fed up with sipping liberal lattes and progressive cappuccinos? Introducing Founding Flavors from AP for Liberty Shop. Get your day started with Washington's Revolutionary Roast. As robust and principled as the man himself, this blend is the shot of energy heard round the world. Or maybe you want to taste the fervor of freedom with Adams's Patriotic Perk. It's as dynamic and balanced as the U.S. Constitution, sure to awaken your spirit of liberty. For the aficionados, we've got the Jeffersonian Java, a complex mix of flavors that speaks volumes about your refined tastes. And don't forget Betsy's Liberty Lullaby, our decaf option, crafted with the same care and dedication Betsy Ross put into our Star-Spangled Banner. This blend lets you enjoy the taste of freedom anytime without losing sleep. No woke beans here, folks. Just pure, patriotic, pro-freedom flavors brewed with love for liberty. So why compromise your principles for a cup of coffee? Stand up for your values, perk up your patriotism, and start your day the American way. Get your Founding Flavors at apforlibertyshop.com.